In this video, we're going to take a look at an easy way to add fractions, okay? So when it comes to adding fractions, there are two ways to add fractions, or two types of fractions that we can think of adding. And just let me go ahead and choose my pen color out here. So one way is when the denominator is the same, okay? So if the denominator is the same, take for example, I want to add 1 over 4 plus 2 over 4. As you can see, 4 and 4 is the same in both fractions, the same denominator. So you can simply add across. So draw a straight line, write the 4 as the denominator only once, and then just add the 1 plus 2 on top, which gives you 3 over 4 as the answer. Let's take a look at another one. Let's say I'm adding 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3. Again, draw a straight line, write the denominator only once at the bottom, and then add the numerators together, which is the top number, which gives you 1 plus 1 is 2 over 3. Okay, so when you're adding fractions where the denominator is the same, it's fairly easy. All you have to do is, write the denominator once at the bottom, like in this case, and then just add the numerator straight across. Okay. Now that we understand that, let's take a look at what happens when we add fractions. The denominators are different, okay? Different denominators, okay? So let's take, for example, let's say I want to add 1 over 4 plus 1 over 6. So if I'm trying to add these fractions, the first thing I want to do is I want to try to find a way to get the denominators to be the same before I can apply the technique that we learned right here, okay? So to get the denominators the same, what we want to do is we want to find something called the lowest common denominator. And the lowest common denominator is also referred to as the LCD, okay? All right, so once we find the lowest common denominator, then we can kind of take this forward. So to find the lowest common denominator, the first thing you want to do is you want to take the 4 and the 6, both the denominators, you want to write them beside each other, put a little L around them, and then look for the smallest prime number that can be a factor of both the 4 and the 6. So in this case, it's 2. So if I take 4 and I divide it by 2, I'm left behind with 2. If I take 6 and divide it by 2, I'm left with 3. And as you can see, 2 and 3 are both prime numbers, so I really cannot go any further. So if I multiply these three numbers, 2 times 2 times 3, I'm going to get 12. And so 12 is the lowest common denominator, okay? So now what I'm going to do is, to get these two denominators to be the same, I'm going to look at this 4 out here first. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm going to look at that 4 out here, and I'm going to ask myself, well, how many times does 4 need to be multiplied? Or basically, what number does 4 need to be multiplied with to make 12? So all I have to do is take that lowest common denominator divided by 4, which gives me 3. So that means I'm going to multiply this whole fraction, this whole thing, with 3. So I get 3 times 1 over 3 times 4. Notice carefully, I multiplied the numerator as well as the denominator with 3, okay? And then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the second fraction. So if you take a look at that 6, well, if I take 12 and divide it by 6, I get 2. So I have to multiply the second fraction with 2. So multiply the numerator with 2 and then multiply the denominator with 2. And once you do that, you get, let's go ahead and multiply across. So we get 3 over 12 for the first fraction, and the second fraction becomes 2 over 12. And then, as you can see, now I have fractions with the same denominators. So all I have to do is draw a straight line, write the denominator once, and add straight across. So 3 plus 2 gives me 5 over 12. And that is my correct answer for the sum of these two fractions. Let's take a look at one more example. So let's say we have to add 1 over 9 plus 4 over 15. Okay, I'm going to draw a straight line out here to differentiate between the two fractions, the two problems. So if I have to add 1 over 9 plus 4 over 15, again, since the denominators are not the same, I'm going to do my little trick where I try to find the LCD. So I separate the 9 and the 15 by a comma and put an L around them. Look for a common factor. So let's start with 3, because I know 3 goes into 9 3 times and 3 goes into 15 5 times. Now I'm stuck with two prime numbers, so I don't have to go any further. So I'm just going to multiply them out. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 5 is 45. That is my LCD, okay? So now I'm going to ask myself, if I take 45 and I divide it by 9, what do I get? I should get 5, which means I multiply the first fraction with 5. Multiply the top with 5, multiply the bottom with 5. Then ask yourself, the next fraction, for the next fraction, how many times, if I take 45 and I divide it by 15, what do I get? I get 3, right? So it's 3 times 4 over 3 times 15. Now I'm going to multiply across so that I get 5 over 45 for the first fraction, and the second one becomes 12 over 45. Now all I have to do is, notice carefully, have the same denominator in both cases. So now I'm just going to write the 45 once, and then I'm going to add the 5 and the 12 together, which gives me 17 over 45. And that is the final answer for the addition of these two fractions. I hope that made sense. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.